right. So, just a very quick case study of what device we had actually built. So, with the IMX6 processor, so multi-board design with the CPU module and a carrier board. We wanted to have it in this manner because we thought originally if we have a separate CPU module, we will be able to do a quick migration to the newer CPUs that might be coming in as compared to redesigning the complete hardware, right. So, we had a separate carrier board and then we had a plug-in CPU module on that which could be swapped with later updated versions. They will be coming in and all the peripherals will actually be on the carrier board. So, even if you have to update the CPUs to later versions, the peripherals will not be needing to be getting changed, right. So, the first version used the tamper detect circuitry on the carrier board. Subsequent version we built up a custom SOM which actually had the IMX6 processor's tamper support itself available, right. So, yeah, so that is basically the difference between the two versions. So, the indigenous SOM that we had actually developed internally had a 2 or a 4 core processor. So, we had 2 different variants, in fact 4 different variants, a 2 core or a 4 core processor and some of them having a 1 GB or a 2 GB RAM, 4 MB boot flash. It was a NOR flash which we actually used for dumping our image and then boot.
Excuse me, sir.
Pardon? Yeah.
SOM stands for?
Yeah.
SOM, sir.
SOM actually stands for system on module.
Okay, sir.
So, I will just show you, I have some pictures also of it. So, I will just show you that aspect of it, right. So, the different hardware components, we had a wireless chipset, we had a free touch screen, we had an audio codec for receiving and making calls, we had a GPRS module from Synterion, we had both front and rear cameras from OmniView, we have a Arduino NFC card reader. So, this NFC card reader was actually used to authenticate the person, right. So, if the person was not using a valid NFC card for a certain number of tries, right, it was actually simulated it to be as a tamper event and the device was completely reset, right. So, we actually had used this NFC card reader for the authentication purpose, failing which after a certain number of tries it would basically do a complete reset of the device. And then we also had the complete motion sensors on the board, accelerometer, gyrometer, proximity sensors all available on this board. So, I have actually documented here the different kinds of problems that we actually faced in integrating all these components, the kind of challenges that are there. So, for want of time right now I will just do a quick pass through of this. Anyway, since you are going to be having the presentation, you can take a look at that separately. So, all the components that we had integrated and what kind of challenges we faced, I have just given the documentation here, so that it becomes a record for us to not to make use of the same things again. So, this is our entire carrier board. Okay, so, this is basically what I was telling. If you see here, we have a SOM connector on which our SOM piece will be connected and the SOM will have the processor inside that, right. So, all our peripherals, whether it be my SD card, USB, cameras, right, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, whatever I wanted to have as a peripheral, I will have only on this carrier board. So, tomorrow if I have to upgrade my processor to a later one, I do not need to spend my time in designing the carrier board again. The carrier board will continue to be as it is. I will just check out my existing SOM, build a new SOM only with the processor and then plug it in, right. So, that was basically the reasoning behind this part. So, this is how the SOM looks like. So, this is the rear view of the SOM, this is my front view, this is my processor, right. So, all the components that we saw here are all inside this processor. Okay. So, our mic and a sensor board. So, this was a digital mic that we actually used for our codec. For the calls that we are making, we actually had a digital mic instead of an analog mic. So, this is the sensor board that was actually connected onto our carrier board. So, this had all the sensors, the proximity, the accelerometer, the gyrometer, the front and the rear cameras that we had actually used from OmniView. So, these components were actually again integrated into the board. this was a fuel gauge. So, the battery indicator, right. So, was basically this component that helped us to tell how much percentage of battery is right now available. So, this is basically what you see on your mobile phones also, right, the indicator. So, this is the small piece that is actually used for that. This is the NFC card reader, the Arduino NFC card reader that we had, then the LCD display. So, this is the touchscreen LCD display, right. So, this was our final device that we had, in which we were actually having this upgraded Android image running with support for all these devices added into it, right. So, we actually had titled it as Anuraksha device. Okay. So, this is again the back side of the display, where the proximity sensor and the rear camera is going to be looked at from the enclosure point of view, where our SD card slot is available and inserted, right. So, these are the components that are there. So, all the references that I actually taken for this presentation, the basic introduction I had taken from this book. As far as high assurance boot is concerned, we had actually prepared a complete document for this as part of the RICE lab in computer science department. We were actually the first group in India to understand high assurance boot and implement it on IMX6 processor. So, it was actually this document was prepared and given back to Freescale, and Freescale is internally circulating it to all their new customers as of today, right. So, that document was actually prepared, and there have been inputs from that which has been taken also. I mean, in fact, it has been done by the team here. Then I had referred the IMX6 security reference manual, which is again publicly available. So, if you are keenly interested to understand in more detail about each of these components that this particular processor is providing as far as security is concerned, all those details are very elaborately discussed in the security reference manual, and there are other training materials also that is available on IMX6 processor in freescale.com. Okay. So, thank you very much. It was nice talking to all of you. So, hope you found it useful. This is only a dessert course that we have actually started. It's an appetizer, right. Now, I should not use the word dessert. So, just an appetizer in such a short time I have tried to cover. So, I would very strongly recommend that you actually poke more details out of these references that I have given, and then try to learn more. Okay. So, thank you very much, all the best.